Hey, this is Paige Ruderman, and this is the So Rude podcast. Welcome to the show. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the So Rude podcast. I'm Paige Ruderman, and today I am so excited to welcome a special guest to the show. Born and raised among the winding hills and rivers just north of the Iron Range of Minnesota, Olin Wallace was surrounded by musical influence his whole life. Olin began his journey picking and singing on the front porch of his childhood home after his grandfather gave him his first guitar. Olin is deeply committed to his music and the impact it will have on his audiences, whether playing an upbeat tune to help people celebrate and have a good time, or a sad song to bring about an emotional experience, leaving listeners with beautiful moments of personal growth. Olin seeks to speak directly to the hearts of the average folks from all walks of life. Olin also founded and hosts Lyrics and Longnecks, a premier songwriter round with multiple shows all nights of the week around town in Nashville, Tennessee. I first met Olin when I got to play a Lyrics and Longnecks round at the Pond down in Franklin, and I'm so excited to dig into his journey to Nashville, his experience as a singer-songwriter in town, his work with Lyrics and Longnecks, new music, and more. Olin, welcome to the So Rude podcast. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Paige. This is very exciting.
I'm excited to have you. I think it's gonna be so fun to get to talk about you and your music and your work here in Nashville.
And it's just real quick before we get started, it's been really fun to watch you like grow as a songwriter and like find this second niche of like doing podcast stuff. And like it's kind of cool to see like how we all started somewhere. We're all finding different avenues to kind of do stuff. So this is exciting to kind of have this full circle. We can kind of do something separate too. So
Totally. Well, thank you. That means a whole lot. And yeah, I got to play a Lyrics and Long Necks round. It's been a bit now when it was down in the pond. So wild to think like how fast time flies.
it really does. It moves. I think we were down there. It's been almost a year since we've been down at the down in Franklin running around down there. So which feels like it was literally yesterday when we started doing those rounds.
Yeah, and this name, Lyrics and Long Necks, continues to grow. I cannot wait to like dive into that and like how that came about. But I know I shared a little bit about you and your background, but can you tell us anything more or anything I may have missed?
Yeah, I'll do the shortened version of the long story. I was pretty quick to fall in love with music. My grandfather was a singer back in like the 70s stuff, so we were always kind of surrounded by it. I didn't know if I was going to become a songwriter, an artist, or anything. That wasn't really on the table when I first decided I was going to move to Nashville. There's always different reasons why we end up in different places. I actually moved here to do audio engineering, which is what I did for a really long time. Well, really long time at that point, which was like 6 years before I kind of made the transition from backstage to on stage and started doing the artist and songwriting thing and went after that career path full time. That's the very shortened version of a long story of kind of how I got here, but yeah, and then I picked up a guitar when I was like a senior in high school, played around with it a little bit, learned a couple chords, wasn't really good at it, kind of put it on the shelf. And then in early 2019, I picked it back up again and started playing, and that's when I first really dove into writing and learning how to co-write and all the other different things and elements that come with that. So it's been a very wild ride for what seems like it's been going on forever, which it's kind of crazy. It's only been 6.5-ish years, really.
But even that, 6.5 years, that's a significant chunk of time. And you said you started out on like the audio engineering front. Interesting. So what you were you like interested in like the recording, like in a studio or the live? Like what was interesting to you?
So what really happened is I went to my first concert when I was 15. I went and saw Justin Moore and Randy Houser.
Okay,
And
but also like really cool first concert.
I
Like
know that's a pretty tough one to be like, all right, what are you gonna do for your second concert? It's like, it's over. I win. Like that's it. But like watching the entire performance and like how everything kind of happened, and there was lights and the sound, and like, I was watching the stage at the same time, like not just the artist, but like you could see the busy bodies in the background and people moving, and like you start to learn like, oh, there's so many components to this, you know. And at that point, I was like, I might never be the guy behind the mic, but like, I need this, I need to bring this feeling to people like every single night somehow. And that's where it kind of clicked, and I was like, ooh, well, I could do the production side of it. So I immediately knew once coming into audio engineering that like I was going to be a live sound guy, because it's a do or die situation. Like it's now or never. Everyone's hearing it in the moment. There's no edits, there's no pauses and breaks. Like if a cable goes out, a guitar string breaks, anything like that, like it's right now we have to change it and fix it. And it's just like that constant pressure that like sucked me into the world. Which I think that's what also kind of pushed me over the edge to become an artist as well, is like having that like it's right now, it's live, it's you're connecting with people in the moment. And it kind of bled, and it's both pieces of it kind of coming together now.
Yeah, like the high energy part. Like
Oh
every got
yeah.
to keep every plate spinning, like it's in the moment, keep the energy high kind of thing.
Well, yeah, and it's fun to come from that background too, because like as a singer, you have your band, and the audience doesn't always see it, but like they're constantly communicating with each other. There's looks, there's hand signals, there's talkback mics. Like they're always communicating, kind of doing the thing, but also like all the engineers are doing the same thing. They're all communicating at the same time. Like, hey, don't forget, we're going to shoot this pyro thing off here. You have to drop that light. You have to, like, all of this is kind of happening. It's all timed out, and it's all like getting it. So, like, we rehearse as audio engineers, they rehearse just as much as singers, of, trying to make sure that the show's going to go smooth. It's fully a group effort. So it's really fun that, you're still a band leader basically, but it's just in a different form.
That is so fascinating. And I will admit that is a part of music I'm not familiar with. So even hearing from you that it's not just kind of like you show up and you move a mouse left and right and like hopefully nothing sets on fire. Like there's truly a whole synchronization of work happening. Like I did not realize that.
Yeah, yeah. And like even everything from tear up to set down, like everything's done in stages. You have like your specific things that go through. And a lot of stages are put together because like this is the fastest way to do it. Like we're gonna hang half the boxes and then plug those and then hang the rest instead of having everything like there's different ways to do stuff. But it's just that complete everything's done in a certain way. And yeah, everyone has to be communicating. You have to have your front, you have to have your leads. And that's why stage managers and production managers, and it's so important. Like those have to be, those guys are great. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to work in that environment.
Oh, totally. Okay, so walk me through it. You went to your first concert, you're like, this is super cool. I need to be a part of this in my future. Did you then start working with like a local venue in your, because you're from Minnesota, right, originally?
Yeah, so I'm from a town of like 250 people. So
Tiny.
we don't have like there's not a live music. We have two bars. Like there's not a live music scene. Like there's not. So all we kind of really had was one of my professors. He had a cover band. So when the and he was like the cover band. Like they did every street dance, which isn't really a thing in the South, which I feel like it should be. I don't know if you know what street dances are.
No.
Basically, every small town has a festival of some type. And during that festival, usually at night, they'll cone off Main Street or whatever the street that's on, and they'll just park like a 30-foot trailer on it, put the band on the trailer, and then like the street just becomes the dance floor. And it's just like basically it's like a parking lot party. And every 4th of July, 3rd of July, every little festival, rodeo, everything has street dances. Um, and it's a huge thing that happens all summer long. And some towns just have street dances. Like there's not even an event. They're just like, hey, we're just gonna shut down Second Avenue and have a street dance this weekend. And everyone just shows up. And usually there's like a bar attached to it, so they kind of do like the beer garden thing outside. Um, but so after I went to the concert, I was like, yeah, I want to figure out how to do this. And simultaneously, unbeknownst to me, the wheels in this guy's head was turning like, how can I do something different besides because all we had was band and choir. Um, that was the only outlet for musically that we had and offered in our school. He's like, and in his head, he's like, I want something else. There's so much more to this industry than being in a marching band or singing in a choir. So he created a class, like a business and music class, um, that he kind of pitched to a couple of us that he knew were a little bit interested in music, and we attended the class, and it was kind of an all around like we're gonna do a little engineering, we're gonna do a little songwriting, we're gonna do a little kind of whatever you kind of want to focus on. We'll just kind of throw it in the curriculum because it was brand new. So we were kind of writing the curriculum as it was going on. Um, and that was my first kind of get into it. And then I was a roadie for them for like a couple shows. I came out and like learned how to wrap cables and like stuff plugs into stuff and kind of learned what EQ, like I didn't know any of it. I was like, oh, there's speakers and cables. I don't know what to do with any of this stuff.
Right.
Um, and that was kind of the like first step into learning all the little bits of stuff. And then went right from that was like sophomore and part of my junior year. Unfortunately, he fell pretty ill, and so we didn't have the class anymore. Um, and recently he just passed away this year. Um, but he really brought that kind of energy into the classroom, and I think there was probably three or four of us. There's only probably 10 kids in the whole class, and I think three or four of us went on to do something musical industry, recorded music, or in a band or something like that. This is Clyde. I said he's gonna come in frame at some point.
Clyde
Uh,
is welcome.
I knew he was going to. This is what he does. Can there you go. Lay down. Um, but yeah, so we did just a plethora of different things, and he's the one who was like, "Hey, you should look at Belmont in Nashville because they have an audio engineering program." And I was like, okay, sounds cool. And that's when I kind of went to my family and I was like, hey, there's this school. I think this is what I want to do. And then unbeknownst to me, my family's like, oh, your aunt went there and she graduated. And I was like, oh, we already know about the school and everything. So it's kind of like once I told my grandma, I was like, I'm thinking about going to Belmont. She's like, that's it. You're moving to Nashville. We love the city. You're gonna move so we can visit you. So it just all everything just kind of fell in place that was the path, and everything just kind of felt right for doing it. So
That is awesome. Well, first, let me say I'm so sorry for the passing of what felt like a great mentor, someone who really helped you find a lane in music. So, so sorry about that. And really cool that, like, unbeknownst to you, family had already kind of did your aunt go for music as well, or she just happened to go for to the school?
she didn't go for music specifically, but she did sing while she was in town. Like she did shows and stuff down here, and she still sings here and there to this day, and still writes some songs and stuff. So that's been fun because we had never sang together until like 2 years ago. We actually went and did an event for a church up north and did some songs together, which was a ton of fun because I always knew that she's always been a great singer, and that was kind of like, man, I wish I could sing, like that. She's like that perfect 90s female country artist sound. Um, and so yeah, it was fun that we finally had that full circle where like I could come home and then we got to do some stuff together.
That is so cool. Who knows? Maybe like you'll get a song together at some point. That could be really fun.
Yeah, that's always a dream. I'm like, all right, how many, when I get to finally play the Opry stage, like how many family members can I pull on stage sing, sing next to me? Like, can I just stick them in the background for like a background vocal for a song or something?
Heck yeah. They're all part of your crew. They're like registered members of
They're all
your
part of the
crew.
story, so
Yeah,
it's hard to tell a story when you don't have all the chapters.
100%. So talking about growing up in Minnesota, finding music, it seems like people in your family are also musically inclined. What type of artists did you listen to growing up? Like, what kind of music were you a fan of?
It's funny because we were a very like all over the place kind of a family. So like my grandfather was he's a pretty purist, like pure country kind of person. Like he used to sing, Hank Williams, some Hank Williams Jr. stuff like Merle Haggard. Like that was kind of his guys he would cover when he was doing his shows. And then when the radio's on his truck, it's whatever country radio station comes in that doesn't have static. Um, my dad grew up listening to old country, but he evolved and he was like an 80s rock guy. He was a big
Okay.
80s rock guy. So I had kind of both of those. And then I actually listened to like a lot of hip hop and R&B as like in like high school.
Really?
So I kind like we just listen to everything a lot, which is funny because my dad is not like a rap fan at all, but I got him listening to like a few Eminem songs, which was really funny. And he's like, I like this. He's like, this is good. I'm like, you just like loud because M does so much stuff with like rock music in the background. I'm like, that's what it is. I'm like, it's that driving kind of a thing. Um, so we were kind of, yeah, we were pretty widespread. I was pretty widespread on like everything I grew up with, and grew up listening to. But if we were in the car and we didn't have a CD or like, because back, when I was a kid, most of the vehicles we owned didn't have aux cords or anything like that. Unless you had a cassette. We had the cassette thing where like you
With the
cassette,
string?
yeah, with the string. And at one point, CD players were a thing. So I had a cassette tape with the string out into a CD player to play off of the that was sitting next to me. So then I had then I was working the CD collection. My car was a mess in high school. I was like, I want to listen to all the things. We were still burning CDs to like have all the songs we liked. Um, yeah, and then I remember I forgot my first like MP3 player and like my whole world changed because I was like, it can go everywhere with me and it's small and fits in my pocket. I don't have to have like because you had to carry the CD player in your hand. And I was like, I can hide it from my teachers and listen to music during class. It's like it's evolving. Um, but yeah, I'd say household wise, like we are pretty main rock and country. And then I really liked to get into I was more of the hip hop R&B person in my family. So I kind of have that weird blend of like everything kind of comes in. If it feels good, it's good music. That's kind of my thing.
Yeah. And I love that because that means you pull from so many more references and so many different vibes when you then go to create your own sound. It's like I've been influenced by different types of artists. And like I was also one of those people growing up where we had like the binder of all your CDs and well, I got to bring all of it because I don't know what I'm going to want to listen to. So I was right there with you, friend. Who
Yeah.
knows? We might be back there one day, but
My dad had it. And it was funny. So my first car was a cassette player, and my dad finally had a truck that was a CD player. So he had a binder of CDs, but he had this massive cassette collection. So I would just go in the garage and borrow his cassettes all the time and figure out which ones I liked the most. And usually the car was pretty good. The car didn't eat him up. I had a little mini boombox that I used sometimes, and we lost a few cassettes to that. That would tear them up, and then you try to wheel them back in with the pencils, like old VHS tapes, and it sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But but yeah, no, I try. Yeah, I have a different, but and kind of going off of that, um, pull from different artists and different genres. If you set aside the artist piece of my life for a minute, and I kind of like focus just on songwriting. That's the thing that I love so much about songwriting is we all have an image as an artist and this is really what we love to put out. But as a songwriter, you still have that itch of like, I really want to write something like this because I loved it. I really want to write an Elton John song or something because I love that music. I'm never going to put something like that out. Then you go find an artist that is, and you're like, okay, cool. I can get this. itch done and I can write this with them and I can have that happen. So it's fun as a songwriter to be like, "Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Let's write one just like this, or let's write one like that, or let's kind of pull these references and mix them together and do something a little bit different."
Totally. I agree. I think that's one of the most fun parts about being a writer because you get to experiment a lot. So when you decided you came to Belmont, at that point in time, had you already started writing some of your own songs, or did you develop that once you moved to Nashville?
At that point, when I was at Belmont, I had written two songs, I think, two or three songs, and I hope no one ever finds them. They were they were really rough because that was part of that class was like learn how structure goes. So I knew like, okay, verse, chorus, bridge, this kind of works like that. So we had the very basic like Nashville country music, point A to point B structure. You do A B rhymes or A rhymes, and then you have a turnaround. Like, so I could read that, um, but I didn't think I was ever really gonna be a songwriter. I wrote poems sometimes. Like I would write, I was always writing creatively, but I didn't really write songs at that point yet. I had written a couple, um, and then I wrote a few while I was in college because my roommate also dabbled in writing a little bit. He was a bass player and a singer too. And then when that 2019 happened, I was still living with the same kid. And that was kind of like, you want to just write a bunch of songs? And that was kind of like when he had a piano and he was a good piano player. So we wrote a ton on the piano and that's where the wheels started turning. And then that's when like, oh, co-writing is a ton of fun. And all of that started happening.
That's really cool because and it's funny you said that you had the like true country and then your dad was a fan of the rock music because I've been listening to some of your songs and yes, they definitely have the country, the storytelling, the lyrical content, but like there are definitely rock elements in at least a handful of those that are
Yeah.
of your catalog that's out.
Yeah. I very much enjoy like a good drums, heavy guitar driven things. Like, yeah, I was a rock kid for sure.
No, I love that. And like also the coolest thing about living in Nashville and getting to meet so many people is you get to hear these songs. So like I've heard some of your songs in the acoustic stripped down setting at like writers rounds where it's mainly the artist is playing on a guitar and you're hearing it in its most basic element. But the production on your songs is killer.
Thank you.
Like they are so good and like hearing it in its full capacity and like as it's fully imagined is really, really cool.
What's really fun? Hello, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
you have to introduce him.
This is Clyde. This is my big annoying dog that every time he's been in every interview I've ever done because this is what he does. Anytime I'm on a laptop and I'm like, all right, this is gonna be something I need to do for music. He's like, all right, I'm gonna become a part. He's in like half my TikToks too because he does that. And if he's not in them, you can hear his collar jingling or something. He's if I make work tapes at the house, he's in them. You can hear his collar, you can hear his feet. He is funny because I was already playing when I got him, and I was really unsure of how he's going to react to the guitar. And I was like, all right, because he didn't do like loud noises, or he was a rescue dog, so I didn't know a lot about his background, and I knew he couldn't do loud noises at all. Like if you shut the door too hard, he would like pee on the ground. He was like, I don't do
Oh,
loud noises. So I was like, I don't know how you're going to do with guitars. And it became this thing where if I played, he had to like. It started out of like, all right, I'll be in the room for it. And then eventually it was like, all right, now I need to like lay on you. So usually like if I'm playing, he has to like be either laying on my feet or laying like he puts his head behind the guitar where I'm strumming and like lays on my lap because like it just kind of became that tool. And if I go in a separate room and like have the door shut and play, he'll like paw the door to like
oh.
he's like, nope, you're doing music stuff. Like I'm gonna come be a part of this.
He's like, we're a duo, didn't you know?
Yeah, pretty much. He's come to shows with me too. He'll lay on the stage like while I play. Like he's come out to some of the outdoor shows I've done. He's done a couple tour stints with me where he'll come out to shows and just kind of hang out. When we traveled to Minnesota and back a couple times, he's done all those shows with me. So he
That's awesome.
he has fun. But backtracking to what you're talking about, it's so cool in Nashville. You get to hear the stripped down versions of all these songs. I love going to writers' rounds and listening to them, and then kind of making my production in my head, and then hearing how they did it. Like if I know the songs out or whatever, I don't want to like pre-listen to like the done fabricated everything because I want to like, okay, how would I put the drum fill there? Would I kind of do this? Would I go this way with the tone or that way with the tone of the guitars, kind of a thing, and then just see what they're gonna do with it, and then listen to what they did, and then be like, all right, that was so much different than what I thought it was gonna be, or that was exactly what I thought it was gonna be. Not saying it's better or worse because music is completely subjective and it's usually always better because I'm not a studio musician, so I don't hear, those different things. But I just love hearing how what comes out of it because people's brains are so creative and we're all so different.
Oh, totally. And I love that you even imagine like what would the production sound like. I will admit that is something I did not do, especially coming in as the writer. Like I'm definitely more of the lyric melody person, like I I hear it what it can be in its most stripped basic form. But I always find it so fascinating when people are like, "Oh yeah, this drum part would sound so cool there." And I'm like, "How did you know? Like how do you know that?" I don't know.
When it's fun sometimes, like if you start with a song and you're like, all right, this kind of has that maybe hip hoppy feel or it has that certain feel, you're like, we're going to do a big drum here. We want this downbeat kind of landing here. So how can we phrase this to hit there and then make the guitar walk based on how our phrasing's going? So then you're kind of writing specific to how you already want the production to land.
That's cool.
Which is I've done a couple of these writes. They're tons of fun. You actually start building a track, like a full track in the room, and then you're writing with this track going, and it completely changes like how the melody is going to go, and then you can change your track a little bit where you're like, nope, I want, a triple snare hit here because we're going to lead into this, or we're going to do this, or bend that string and kind of do this, and you're like building this whole production, and then it's fun because then at the end of the session, you're like, all right, we wrote
It's
a
a
song
finished
in half
song.
hours, and we basically have a done song slash a good enough demo that we can bring it somewhere and have people listen to it or something like that, which is always a plus.
100%. Do you have a preference when you're writing for yourself as an artist? Like, do you like starting with the with that kind of track in the room? Do you like starting on the guitar? Or what's your favorite part of the process in general? Do you like the writing side? Do you like the recording side, the playing live?
I'm a live person through and through. I got asked the question like, all right, you do a lot of things in music, but like if we took everything away and you could only do one like for the rest of your life, I think it would be playing live. Um, which is kind of great because like as much as I love writing and and I think it might not even be the actual like writing of the song though. It's just like the people and sitting in the room and everybody like, we're kind of all at the points in our careers where it's not awkward in a room anymore. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
you want my life story and every traumatic thing ever? Here you go. Like, here's everything. Let's write about this. Like, so with that is so fun. Um, it's like I need a good therapy session today. Let's go have this right. Kind of a thing. But for me, it's just like the ultimate love is being on the stage and physically watching what you're creating in the moment have a visceral reaction, like have like it's there. It's proof of concept. It's right in front of you. And that's kind of like the overly addicting feeling. It's so fun.
Oh yeah. And I think that's cool that you have moved into the artist lane because as an artist, you get to do that every time you step on stage. You're directly communicating a message that you're really passionate about to hopefully connecting with a group or a room of people that they're taking something away from it. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
And sometimes, you get exactly what you're hoping for. And sometimes you don't, and it's fine. And we are just like, all right, we're just gonna go on to the go on to the next one. I guess that didn't work out the way I thought it was going to. So it's always fun. And it's fun to try out new songs like that. Like, and you're like, all right, I think this is great. Let's see what happens. And then you try out a song, you're like, I hate this song, but I'm gonna try it out anyways, and then everyone loves it, and you're like, dang, now I have to put this now I have to put this one out.
I have had this conversation with people before where like afterwards someone will come up to you and be like, I loved XYZ song. And you're like, really? Of all the ones I played,
Yeah.
that's the one you love the most, you know?
So I started kind of thinking about it too when I do have those conversations, when someone's like, I love XYZ. Ask it like I always ask like, what's the thing you liked about it?
Mm.
See if they like are they recalling lyrics, melody, feeling. Because sometimes I'll have this thing where I'm like, I don't really like the lyrics of it, but the song feels really good. People love it because it feels great, but they'll never remember any of the lyrics. So I'm like, cool. Let me change the lyrics to the point where I am in love with it. And then also you get your feeling from this song and I get my lyrics that I'm okay with. And you can kind of do both. So I love doing kind of that test too. Because there are certain songs that like, and you're never gonna please everyone, so just write what you love and put out what you love. Because there was a there was a engineer that told me a long time ago. He said when um, I don't remember which artist he was talking about, but he said the guy said make sure whenever you're recording a song in the studio that you're gonna want to play it for the rest of your life, because if that song makes it you're going to be singing it every single day for the rest of your entire life. So love the song so much that you're going to be okay doing it. And I was like, that's true. Don't ever bring something in the studio that you're like, I don't really love this, because it could blow up and be a sensation and you're going to sing that song for the rest of your life. And if it gets, 10 months down the road and you fall out of love with that song and all of a sudden you're kind of halfway singing it, it's losing that connection with everybody.
That is fascinating. And like, what a great piece of advice because you're right. Like, even your favorite artists, like the legacy artists of today, they're still singing a couple things that are their biggest hits. And it's like, you better like it.
Well, it's like Blake Shelton in Austin. I mean, I feel like if he does a concert and doesn't sing Austin,
People will
people are
riot.
gonna feel really upset about it. You know, it's almost like Garth and the Dance. Like one is with they're synonyms. So if the concert wouldn't be complete without at least part of it. So, make sure you are absolutely in love with that song because you're going to be doing it forever. But that is also the hope that we give a song that's like that we get to do forever.
100%. Speaking of new songs that you hope connect and like find their crew, you're joining us on the heels of your upcoming release, Nicest Trailer in the Park. Talk to us about this
Yes.
one.
So we finally have a true date. It is going to be out August 8th, which I think is 2 weeks or just under 2 weeks away. Um, Kind of funny. The song originally was kind of a joke. It was one of those. I wrote it with a friend of mine named Jamie Phillips, and we went in, and I had had a bad week. He had had a bad week, and I was like, "We're not gonna write anything serious today. We're just gonna have fun in the right. We're gonna talk about some stuff." And at that point, in my life, I was living in a camper. I still have the camper. I was living in that, and I had built it with my brother. The where when we wrote the song would have been the previous winter. We built it together. We bought a 1980s holiday Rambler and then gutted it and then rebuilt the whole thing inside of it. And during the build, he made a joke to me because he was buying a bunch of what I deemed unnecessary things, like really nice countertops and like actual like home approved like flooring and like tile shower, like this really nice stuff. And I was like, I'm not even gonna, I don't spend any time in here. Like I don't really want to be spending a bunch of money kind of on this thing. And he just kind of made this joke and he was like, you're probably going to live in a trailer park your entire life. So we're just going to make sure you have the nicest trailer in the park. And it just became this running joke. And I wrote it in my phone and went into that day. And I was like, you know what? I have this thing in my phone. Do you want to just write this song? And Jamie was like, this actually could be really, really fun. So it's a very serious song. The information in it is very, so we just started talking about like our childhoods and like all the different stuff that we grew up on. So everything in the song is very accurate. Um and just kind of wrote it and it became just this fun song and we started playing it out and everyone was just like whether they grew up in a trailer park they loved it, if they didn't they thought it was hilarious and it was funny and it was a good time. It just became this like really fun song that everyone can just sing to. It's easy. um and yeah, I played it in Minnesota last year and I think every time I played it, people were like, "Is this out? Like, where can I like play this?" And it was never gonna be out. Like,
Oh.
it was just gonna be a fun thing. And then I was like, you know what? I'll do it. Like, it's such a fun song to do. So yeah, we decided we're gonna put it out, and we went in the studio earlier this year, and August 8th, Nice Show in the Park will be out everywhere for everyone's enjoyment.
Oh my gosh. I think that's so crazy how when you take the pressure off of it and you're like, I'm just here to write a good song. Like I'm here with a buddy, we're gonna write a good song. And then like I think I found it really fascinating too, moving to Nashville, how much time stage like songs take. Like they have like a whole life before they even make it onto the streaming
Oh
platforms, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
I mean, I think that song's been around for over a year and a half now.
Wow.
Like, I think that's when we wrote it was probably about a year and a half ago. And it's just been kind of hanging out in the abyss of songs, and I've been playing it out here and there, and then it kind of became like a requested round song that like when I would go and then I had buddies at the rounds like, "Oh, you need to play that song." And I was like, "All right, we'll do it." And I was like, "We'll do it." And it just became a lot of fun. So it had a life of its own and now it's gonna have a second life.
That's incredible. Also, I love when you get like recommendations. They're like, "Oh, play this one," because that's when you know you got a good song. Like when
Yeah,
people remember it, they remember you sang it, they want to hear it again. That's always a good sign.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. When you show up and people are like, "Can you play these couple songs?" Then they kind of become like you. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. You have a couple writers that you've seen play rounds, and they always have that one song that they're like, "All right, we'll do this one because I got asked before I got on stage to do it." So
Hmm. That's really cool. And I also, I'm not sure if this was like another thought when it came to recording it and like hope for the future, but maybe it's also could be a little bit of a reminder of like you'll never forget where you came from, like whatever comes next, where whatever kind of milestones I reach or wherever I grow career wise, like I'll
oh
never
yeah.
forget that part of myself.
Oh yeah, and I mean, that's always gonna be there because like it was basically the whole reason the trailer even kind of became a thing was that was the point of me transitioning to become an artist full time. It's like, how can we do this right now with the way everything was expensive as all get out? Like, how can we make this work? And it was like, all right, we're just gonna cut everywhere we can cut, and the easiest thing to cut was shrink your house down to 8 by 20 and park it in the middle of a field. So
Effective.
that's what happened. But like as artists and writers and stuff, like we don't spend time at home very much. We're not really at home. And I'm not, and like if I am home, especially when I was living in the camper, I had it on a small farm. And so when I was home, I wasn't in it. I was, you know, taking care of horses or chickens or outside playing with the dog or um just hanging out outside. I'm not like a sit inside person, so I didn't need a lot of space.
Yeah. Speaking about being busy, I definitely want to make sure I ask about this. Lyrics and long necks. That's how we had cross paths originally. When did you decide you wanted to create your own songwriter round? Like, what kind of drove you to do it?
So when I first started writing was like 19, and then obviously 2020 happened, we all know. Um, and when 21 came around, I was playing some rounds and doing some stuff, and there was a lot less rounds in town. There wasn't really a ton of rounds kind of happening in Nashville because so many of them died out, and there was a lot of just really big rounds. And some of those rounds are very hard to get into, especially with there's a constant new wave of songwriters kind of coming to Nashville. And there's there's a couple entry level rounds, but they can only handle so much capacity. So my friend was actually running around at the pond. Um, and I was deciding if I wanted to start hosting around. I was trying to figure out where I would want to go, if I was doing it. And then he called me out of the blue and pretty much was like, "Hey man, I'm not gonna be running my round anymore. Um, do you want the spot?" Because he was moving and he knew I only lived 15, 20 minutes away. He's like, you can have the spot if you want to try and do something. He's like, I'm gonna kind of step back from writing and I'm not gonna run around anymore. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And the whole goal of lyrics and Longnecks, from the beginning is a space for all writers. Like we're want enough stages that we can have. Do we have a stage for you at every stage of where you're at in your career? So we have different locations in different places and different times of the week and all this kind of stuff because we want everybody there. We want your this is your third song you ever wrote. We have a stage for you. You have six number ones. We have a stage for you. And we want to be year round forever. And you can always come back and we can always keep elevating you. So when you start out and you need somewhere to play, we'll give you a stage you can make your mistakes that we all make. You can have your fumbles. And then in the year or 2 years later, when you get to that point where, you know, you're we're never out of mistakes to make, but you're elevating, we have another stage we can push you to. We have another, we can keep kind of moving with you. So we're kind of have an evolution to the round as well. Um, and that's just, but the original and what we still do our very, very best on is having that community where everybody feels okay to just be there. We want very open. I try to be as accessible as possible. Anyone has, you're new to town, you have questions, you don't know where to go, you don't know who to talk to, you can always come find the round wherever we are. Come in, sit down. I'm never going to turn anybody away. Come talk to us. Um, you know, and that's just really what we wanted. We want to be a home for all songwriters, really, and a community and a family.
What a powerful message. And I love that you kept in mind that we might cross paths at different steps of the journey. Like you might be coming to me early on, you might be coming to me a little bit later, but it doesn't mean we can only interact when you're at one stage because hopefully everyone's continuing to grow and evolve and improve. So I think that's really cool.
Well, and part of it too is like we want to give you a goal. Like with me, if I don't see a next step, sometimes I don't always put it in that next gear. I'm a little
Mhm.
bit of a procrastinator in that way. But if I'm like, if you have a next kind of a next goal, next step, next piece kind of a thing, like to get to that next thing, you're like, all right, you have a motivation. You're like, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna work my butt off and then I can get to this, do this kind of a thing. So that's really, and we're not trying to turn people away or anything. We want to get you all the way to, the top of the top. So we're here to be helpful in any way for that as well. Any questions, concerns, people you want to know, if we can make the connection, we'll make the connection. So
That's cool. Do you have any highlights or any like particular thing that you're really proud that you've accomplished?
With the round or with in
I was
general?
thinking about the round, but in general too.
Um with the round, we actually just did this really cool thing. So we did it for our anniversary. And I don't think anyone's ever done it before. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. So what we did with our anniversary is we did it really differently. We did an actual round of rounds. So because we are trying our best to kind of create this songwriting family and make sure, everyone's who, what we did was is I reached out to some of the rounds when I first started that gave me opportunities and spots to play and have always kind of been family and had each of those hosts put together one round for the evening.
Oh,
And then we did
wow.
the four separate rounds during out the whole night. So then songwriters could come, they could meet more hosts than just me. They could meet other songwriters that play these other rounds. So it was a super fun event. And there's just a ton of people there. It was a little work to put it all together, but that one was a lot of fun. And it's always great. It's always an accomplishment when you have, your writers that are coming to play around and they have one or two or three number ones, and you can kind of have that. Those are always super fun. Um, and it's kind of you kind of start to see it just like with songwriting and being an artist or whatever. You kind of like if you can shoot someone a message and they actually like message you back, you're always like, I'm doing something right. Like
Yes,
we're big enough that like you've heard of us before and you're willing to come do this thing or willing to be helpful or a part of it. Like you remember who we are. So that's always been a huge goal and a ton of fun.
that's
Um,
super cool.
for me, I mean, I feel like everything's an accomplishment because if we stop looking at all the little things as accomplishment, we kind of get lost in chasing the big dream. But had a couple cuts this year, which was a ton of
Congrats.
fun. I think I've been in a lot of music videos this year too, which has been a ton of fun. That's a completely like side story history thing. But yeah, I got to be in some music videos for some friends. Um, got to write with my first like big number one songwriter this year, which was a lot of fun. Um, so it's moving in the right direction. Um, and yeah, we're gonna festival season's on the target. That's what we're trying to do next year is kind of get some of those festival things under the belt. So
That is incredible. Congratulations on all the growth. And like you've been in town many years now. And so to see your hard work starting to come to fruition must feel really good. And you should be really proud. That's really cool.
thank you. Yeah, we're just like, you have to take that second and sit down and be like, okay, look where I was, look where I am. We're doing fine. We all think we're running out of time, I feel like in this industry, but you're not. You're fine. You can start whenever you start. It's fine. And you'll be just fine. You'll make it. So
Great words of advice. Is there any venue, like, do you have any venue in mind that you're like, I would love to host around at this venue?
our dream location that I want to put together like a crazy round is the Station Inn. That is,
Really?
I really want to put together a really cool type round there. I think it would be a ton of fun. Um, just that atmosphere. I don't know if you've ever been inside the
Yeah.
station. Just I went there when Tin Pan South did their rounds, and just everything about it is just it's like a I don't even want to call it like a it's like a theater, but it's even more elegant. It's just so perfect. So that's a dream. That one I would really want to go there and put something together there.
Oh my God, iconic. Speak it into existence. You said it here first.
Yes, that is our hope and goal.
Oh my gosh. Well, Olin, it has been a blast getting to chat with you and learn more about your music and you and your journey. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really glad that I got to be on here and just kind of talk and let all my, I know I'm one of those people that like once I start talking, I don't always stop talking. So I appreciate you letting me just, ramble on.
I love it. Truly, it was such a blast. And every time I have a guest on the show, I always close with the same final question, which is, what is one thing you would tell your younger self?
There's so many. Um, to just like not focus so much on that big ending, to just hone in on your singular steps. And if you can just take it one little tiny piece at a time, you'll at some point turn around and realize that you're a lot farther than you think you actually are. And I feel like if we take too much on at one time, we get so overwhelmed that really nothing gets done. So that's kind of the big piece is just don't overcomplicate anything and stop staring at the mountain when you can just start climbing it in the little tiny steps.
So powerful. I love it. Olin, if people are tuning in today and they're coming across you for the first time, where can people find you online if they want to follow along and like keep up to date with your journey?
Yeah, so all of my social stuff is just Olin Wallace music, like my Instagram, my TikTok, Facebook, all the good stuff. And then yeah, I have music out on iTunes, Spotify. I have a very small YouTube channel that will probably have some stuff added to it in very recent times. But yeah, all that's just Olin Wallace, is where you can find me on pretty much everything. I think there's only one of me. So I'm a pretty easy person to find.
And we are going to have all of the links to all of the socials that Olin just shared down below in the description. So make sure you go ahead, tune in, and follow along because, especially for independent artists, just like showing a growing group of people that are passionate about what they're doing is really powerful and important for their journey. Nicest trailer in the park coming out August 8th. So it should be out by the time that this episode goes live. Make sure you check it out. It's going to be amazing. And if you're not already, please follow along the So Rude podcast. We're on Instagram and TikTok at sorude.podcast. And by tuning in each week, you're going to be able to help us continue to bring on really amazing guests that are generous enough to share their time and their stories and help us continue to grow in our own creative pursuits. So make sure you go ahead and follow along. All of our episodes are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts in addition to YouTube, so you can find us there. And as always, have a fantastic rest of your day, and we will chat again soon. Bye now. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date with every episode. See you next time.